YouTube. You've asked for it, so this is it. I'm going to redo a comparison between the PlayStation Vita on the right and the 3DS XL on the left. A lot of time has passed since my last review of them both, and a lot has changed in that space. So to start with, what I'm going to do is basically compare what I think are the best games in a few different genres on both of them. So in terms of the best action game, if we can just compare Uncharted over here, and I'm going to compare that with Monster Hunter on the 3DS. Let's just have a bit of gameplay of this though. Oops. Okay, I'm keeping it purposely brief because there's a lot to get through, so don't want to be here forever. Here's Monster Hunter 3 Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate on the Nintendo 3DS. Clearly there are two screens here, so a bit more real estate to actually use, but the screens aren't nearly the same quality as that of the PS Vita. I don't know if you can tell here, but the text is actually, in some points, can even get difficult to read. I'll give you an example here. When it gets really small, things like the things you see here, it doesn't fit with today's, ultra sharp screens that you get on phones, and even compared to the Vita, it's just the actual quality it's not nice. I mean, obviously people buy the system to play the games that are exclusive to it, but it's not a great experience, viewing stuff on this screen. Anyway, I mean, the first thing I really want to compare is the sound quality. So, both have stereo speakers, so you can see that. And I'm just going to turn the volume up to max on both games so you can just hear a bit of the sound. So let's go with this first. So it actually sounds a lot better than you might think. You actually hear a lot of sort of background noises, and there's quite a lot of layers to the sound. It's not sort of recessed in the highs, mids, or even the lows. It is actually a very well-rounded sound, especially for a handheld console. So now let's have a little bit of Uncharted. Just turn the volume on max, and you can also judge for yourself which is louder. We'll just get out of the fighting scene. I think it's pretty clear that PS Vita has the better sound. Stereo speakers here and here. Okay, so I'll leave that to judge for yourself. Personally, I think the PS Vita just has the edge on that one, but it's pretty close and both have great sound, so don't make your judgment on that. Now let's just quit home and stick in a different game. So what I'd like to do now is compare Mario Kart 7 with Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed, because I feel Mario Kart 7 is the best racing title on 3DS, and this is the best racing title on the PS Vita. Now, as you notice, I have this sort of grip for the PS Vita. I reviewed it in a different video. You can check that out if you're interested. I actually really recommend it. It's something that I suppose just makes playing it, you shouldn't really do that by the way, playing it a bit more of a comfortable experience and makes it non-slippy, you know, because consoles get all greasy and stuff, whatever. But yeah, no, it's a great little thing to have. You get, there's also sort of ones for the 3DS like that on offer. Anyway, what did I just put in? Sonic. There we go. Now you've got to consider that Mario Kart is a first-party. Mario Kart is a first-party title, and it's made exclusively for the 3DS. So it's sort of built from the ground up for the 3DS, whereas Sonic was not built for the PS Vita. It's a port from the Wii U and all the other consoles. So bear that in mind. But when it actually comes to races, there isn't really anything I can think of for the Vita that's specifically made for it. You know, Mod Nation was kind of a port of the PS3 one, and you know, that's just the way it goes with the Vita, to be honest, at the minute. But to be honest, if they were good ports, then to be honest, that would be great. I mean, if we got all the PS3 ports, or even half the PS3 games ported onto the Vita, that would be exactly what we wanted. I mean, you know, they said it's a PS3 on the go. It'd be perfect playing all the PS3 games on the go, but the problem with most of these ports is that they're lost along the way of, you know, porting them. They just sort of lose their smoothness and their visual luster. Anyway, let's have a look at Mario Kart. So it looks really, really nice, bright, colourful. Yeah, it runs at very nice, smooth 60 frames per second, and you definitely can tell the difference between that and 30. If you can't, well, I guess you just haven't played enough games. Or you've got bad eyes, I don't know. Yeah. I think they've done a great job with, you know, the way Mario Kart 7 looks, considering, you know, this is a 3DS, it's not as powerful as the PS Vita. It's nowhere near as powerful as the PS Vita, but, you know, this game looks very respectable. You know, you have to admit that they've done a good job. This is awful, by the way. But, yeah, you know, it's well made. Let's have a look at Sonic. So hopefully you can see straight away the quality of the screen is just miles better. Not only is the resolution about double, but, you know, the colours are far more saturated. It just, you know, leagues and bounds ahead. It's not quite sort of your smartphone, you know, 300 ppi screen, but when you're gaming, you don't really notice. Most games aren't even at the native resolution anyway, but still obviously at a higher resolution than the 3DS. How do you even go forward? That's it. Now notice this isn't running as smoothly though. This is only 30 frames per second, and hopefully you can tell the difference if you sort of put the video back a few seconds and watch the 3DS compared to this. This is not as smooth, and I wouldn't say it's bad enough to impact the game experience, but 60 would have been nice, and it's definitely possible on the Vita. I mean, you know, this game looks pretty good as well. I would say it looks on par, if not slightly better than Mario Kart 7 in its own way, you know. But yeah, no, it looks good, definitely. But in terms of the actual racing and maybe the fun factor, I'd say it's probably not there. There's only like 4 or 5 weapons you can actually get compared to about, I don't know, a dozen or so on Mario Kart, and you know, you don't really unlock anything but bar a few races. I don't know, it just, it doesn't, I don't enjoy it as much, to be honest. It doesn't have the same character to it, I guess. Yeah. It seems more generic, I'll put it that way. Okay, anyway, that's just my opinion. So let's just get rid of them, and now have a look at Metal Gear Solid versus Zelda. Now both are sort of HD remakes. Should I say HD? I don't know, it's not really HD, but remakes of, I suppose, older games. That was the closest I could get. Both are third-person sort of, games. Now in terms of actual how good the game is, Zelda is clearly a better game than Metal Gear. If you check any of the reviews out, they're all sort of praising Zelda. I didn't actually find it that great. It's sort of, it's an old game, and it feels really old when you play it. It's not like, a lot of the reviews said that, it hasn't aged and stuff like that, but I'm pretty sure it has. I mean, if you compare this to the way Mario Kart looks or something, it looks nowhere near as good as that. Everything is very blocky, and it feels old. You'll notice that. Anyway. But I'm not judging the game, I'm judging the systems. So, let's have a look again at this. One thing that Nintendo have done is made it run at a nice smooth frame rate. It's not quite 60, but it's a solid 30. So, I mean, Sonic on the Vita was nearly a solid 30, but not quite. It does stutter a little bit. So it was between 20 and 30, but this is a solid 30, so, props to Nintendo on that one. Yeah, you get the idea. It looks pretty good, but it just feels old. Like, you can't even jump. Like, who does that? Yeah, okay. He's had enough of me. Metal Gear 3. Out of the 2 games, this is far better. And it's pretty clear why they didn't provide Peace Walker in the PS Vita version of the HD collection. Because they're already selling the PSP one in the store, so kind of be undermining themselves. Anyway. Okay. So here we go. This is Metal Gear. Again, this game feels old. It doesn't feel like ancient, but it's not very up to date. As in, there's just things you'd expect from a modern shooter, which this doesn't have, clearly, because it's not a modern shooter, but they feel like they wouldn't have gone amiss. Things like this. And again, this is one of those things that isn't even running on the Vita's native resolution, which I can't see. I mean, this is a PlayStation 2 game, and the PlayStation Vita is far more powerful than the PS2, so I can't see why they couldn't have made it run at the native resolution. And I'm pretty sure it's one of those cases where, they thought not many people have a Vita, so not many people are going to buy it for Vita. So, I'm not gonna bother making a great port for it on Vita. And that annoys me, because without great ports, or just great games in general, no one's gonna buy the Vita. So, I mean, I think it's up to Sony to actually make sure the Vita gets good games. E3's just around the corner, but from what the booth listings say, it's not actually going to be a very big showing for the Vita. I hope it is. I mean, we've got Killzone coming out, we've got Tearaway, but apart from that, that's getting blown away by the 3DS, which is getting, it's getting a Pokemon game. That's gonna sell millions. It's already got a Monster Hunter game. That's another huge crowd that it's appealing to. And for the most part, people are going to buy one of the two consoles. Few people actually have two. So, I mean, when the 3DS offers you stuff like, Fire Emblem, Pokemon, Monster Hunter, then chances are you are going to go for that. When that offers you, some watered down ports of Sonic, which don't even run that good. Now, clearly that's unfair. I mean, if I got the same game on the Vita, I would, as the 3DS, if the same game was launched for both systems, I would much rather play it on the Vita. Having said that, the speakers are better, the screen is so much better, the graphics are better. I mean, the second screen on the 3DS doesn't really bother me. I don't feel like it's a feature that I'm missing when I play on the Vita. I mean, technically you almost do have a second sort of, kind of screen there. But I enjoy playing it on the Vita, and, I enjoy watching movies on there, listening to music on there. The 3DS kind of feels a bit clunky. I mean, especially the UI, when you compare it in comparison to the Vita's, I don't know, very slick, sort of all integrated UI. This does seem a bit archaic. Like, you go to the eShop. In my previous comparison, I did actually sort of compare the eShop with the PS Store, and I'm just going to quickly go through that again, because they haven't really... Oh, sorry. The eShop has not really improved since about the 6 months ago that I actually looked at it. And, I mean, first it's really slow. Look, the PS Store has loaded up already. And the eShop, we are still waiting. Still waiting. Still waiting. Okay, here we go. So, I mean, it took, what, twice as long? Probably more. Okay, what I will give to the 3DS is it has a lot of classics and old games which you can play. But they are pretty pricey. I mean, for example, if you look at this, this is an older version of Zelda on sale for £4.49, whereas, you get the PS1 classics on here, most of them are about £2, just without a sale, £2-3. Yeah, 3DS, it's kind of a little bit laggy on this store. It doesn't feel that intuitive, like, it doesn't... It's like if I'm looking for something in particular, it doesn't sort of... It's not that obvious what I need to do. You click search and then it's all a little bit, you know what I mean? It's more complicated than it needs to be. It doesn't work that well. The PS Vitas, everything is very, very smooth. It's all quick. And I think it just works well. You search it, and whatever you search, I don't know, rotating octopus or something. Yeah, there we go. And yeah, the most relevant searches will just come up. Anyway, I've compared the two stores. The PS Vita store, they're not even in the same league. In comparison, the 3DS store feels really old, really dated, just not nice to use. On top of that, to be honest, the games are actually more expensive, generally speaking, the 3DS games, whether you buy them retail or sort of on the eShop, they are more expensive. Like most eShop games, they are like $39.99, whereas the Vita ones are more like $29.99, around the £30 price tag. And obviously, you get the smaller and the indie games, which are like £5 to £10, or the minis, which are like £2. I mean, PlayStation Home Arcades you see here is a bit of a joke. Yeah, it's not really worth. Don't let it sway your decision, because it's a little rubbish. Both have these sort of inbuilt apps. You get things like AR games and all of that. Nothing spectacular has been made of that feature. And to be honest, yeah, they've not taken it further than a few mini games on both systems. So again, if you think this is gonna... I wouldn't buy either system to play AR games, because you're kind of wasting your money. Okay, now the actual price of the systems. Now this is interesting because not only was the 3DS significantly cheaper than the Vita when I did my initial video, but you know, I thought it offered more features, it was, you know, it had more games on the horizon, which is probably still the case. But now, I mean, if you sort of go down the pre-owned route, not saying that I advocate that, but if you are one of those kind of people, I mean, I am, then the Vita is actually can be had pretty cheap now. I've seen them go on eBay auctions for sort of sub £100, so you're talking, I don't know, $120 from the US, something like that, for the Vita on its own. Sometimes you get that price even with memory cards and a few games, so pre-owned I'd say they're going pretty cheap. There's probably going to be a price cut sometime soon. 3G model's totally gone because no one wanted it. Yeah, and it's changed. I mean, having said that, the 3DS XL has also gone down in price. It's now roughly £120 to £140, but the PS Vita's really dropped. I mean, retail it can be had for about £150, so I would not say that the 3DS wins in that category anymore. Well, the XL version, the 3DS is clearly cheaper, but the XL is maybe not cheaper now. In terms of unique features, the 3DS has got the 3D, which it's a selling point. I don't think many people buy the 3DS for the 3D. They buy it for the games, obviously. But the 3D is a very nice feature. It's unique. There's a couple of problems with it. Firstly, as you all probably know, the black line effect, you know, where you tilt the 3DS and your screen goes all fuzzy and you lose the 3D effect. There's that. Secondly, most games don't use it very well, so they don't actually use it to enhance the game experience. They just sort of plonk it in there just so they can make a 3DS game, I guess. There are some games where it works well. Monster Hunter, it works very well, and Super Mario 3D Land, I noted it was very, very good there. You know, showcasing to all the developers and whatever what the system was capable of, because I think that was probably 3DS's best game. But apart from that, you know, there's been a couple of games like Donkey Kong, I heard, it didn't use the 3D effect. It was awful. It was sort of worth actually going into the settings and disabling it just because it was that bad. They might fix that in an update, but that's not my point. And also, I mean, you can't really watch 3D movies made for the screen because there are none except for the odd trailer you can find on the eShop. You know, whereas the Vita, the advantage that has in terms of screen, that is evident through every bit of media that you sort of consume on it. You know, your YouTube, even your web browsing is enhanced by that screen, your games, your photos, you know what I mean, because very few things, except the games, and even they don't really take advantage of the 3D, but everything takes advantage of the OLED, you know, higher resolution screen on that. In terms of other features, I mean, well, above the 3DS, the Vita has the raw processing power. It has camera on the front, which is better quality than the 3DS, but still not great, but at least this can Skype. I mean, I don't even know what the point of the front camera is on this, to be honest. Face raiders or something, maybe. Maybe they've got some feature they're about to reveal, I don't know, but you can't Skype on it, as far as I'm aware. And, you know, things like Hulu, Netflix on that, which I'm pretty sure are not coming to this. So, I mean, this is still more of a multimedia device. It can't really compete with a tablet, like an iPad or, you know, any Android tablet, which is high-end, to be honest, because, I mean, the web browser is poor. There's, you know, the PS Store, it's got a fair variety of games, but it's not on par with, like, the Google Play Store or the iOS Store, not nearly, in terms of variety. Maybe quality, but not variety. And, you know, the OS does still have its limits. I suppose it's not as open as Android or anything. But anyway, enough of that. I'll talk about battery life now. My 3DS XL and my PS Vita have probably had about equal use, so the battery's drained about equally in each one. The 3DS holds its charge a lot better. The XL holds its charge a lot better than the PS Vita. The PS Vita, you know, you're sort of pushing it at about 4 hours. I've owned these both for about 6 months now. But yeah, that pushes it around 4 hours. The 3DS XL can last about 5 to 6. That's when you're playing native games, so 3DS games on that and Vita games on that. Which is, you might think it's not significant, but you know, say you're on a plane or whatever, you know, 6-hour journey, you want to be able to, you know, you'll be sitting there doing nothing for 2 hours or something if you had a Vita, but you'd be playing all the time if you can play for 6 hours on the 3DS. Anyway, I've got to make a choice as to which console I think is better, and I'm gonna have to say it's the 3DS again. I can almost see the sort of the likes dropping off my my bar at the minute, but I think the 3DS XL is the better console at the minute. But the only reason I can think of is the games. In every other way I can think of, the PS Vita is a better console. But I'm going to give it to the 3DS because there's absolutely nothing that you shouldn't have in a console's life where you sort of complete one game, you think, what next? Oh wait, there's nothing I actually want to play on it. And that's the point I got to with the Vita, and that I'm still in now. I'm waiting for things to come out. Whereas with the 3DS, you know, you finish Monster Hunter, which, you know, takes hundreds of hours. You know, you start Mario Kart or you start Zelda, that'll take you another, you know, dozen hours or probably longer. And it's got so many games, and a lot of them are very deep. You do also get, you know, there are a few 3DS eShop classics. I don't know, there's like these, I don't remember what they're called, but there are some pretty highly rated 3DS arcadey kind of games which apparently are quite good and not too pricey. And just, you know, Pokemon coming out, that's going to destroy, and that's going to further cement the 3DS's lead over the Vita and probably bury the Vita dead. I mean, I really wanted the Vita to succeed, but unless it turns around with something spectacular, it doesn't look likely. It is dying, to be fair. Yeah, I mean, I heard the 3DS was selling the Vita, outselling it 18 to 1 or something, which is pretty ridiculous. Anyway, that's my review, comparison. If you like this video, then like it. If you hated it, then keep it to yourself. Thanks for watching. Check out my other videos. Bye.